When I originally started recording videos about a little over a year and a half ago now, I never thought that there would be a day when I would hit 75,000 subscribers. It was always something that I was like, if I can hit 75K, then I can hit 100K. And if I can hit 100K, that is the goal. That is what I really want to achieve. I just never really thought that it would happen. And you guys have given this gift to me now that we have passed 70,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. You've given me this gift that I have the ability to be able to just kind of sit down and record videos talking about something that I absolutely love and having almost a conversation on a daily basis with many of you, whether it be in the comments section down below or in Discord, just talking about this passion that we share. And honestly, words can't even describe, they escape me just trying to think of how thankful I am every day for you guys and for this channel and for what it all means to me, just having this ability to talk about Pokemon and share this passion and this hobby with so many of you. I'm really, really excited to do our 75,000 special stream giveaway, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be so great, and we are coming closer and closer to that. I'm expecting to get everything in tomorrow that I bought. It is going to be absolutely amazing. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button down below. Share the channel. Help us get there faster because I am extremely impatient. And the idea of just having this sealed box that is arriving tomorrow sit there and I can't open it because it's going to be a lot of fun. I guarantee you it's going to be a blast. So also over the past year and a half, 2 years almost, the Pokemon market has been absolutely insane. And we talk about this all the time. We talk about market updates, and we're going to talk about a market update today going over sealed. And there's been a lot of talk lately about the recession that we are entering or that we're going through. And you can call it whatever you want, but customer spending is down. Inflation rates are up. The last time I checked, inflation rates were at like 8.6%, which is the highest that it's been since like the early 1980s, which is absolutely insane. Costs a lot more money to go out and do things, and people aren't making nearly as much as they would like to in order to be able to afford to do all those things. So what does that mean? That means you start cutting spending. You start cutting spending habits. And we were in the pandemic era where everything was going on and people were really afraid to kind of leave their house. Consumer spending was way up at one point. I think May 2020, it was up just this gigantic amount because people were starting to spend more money on discretionary items. They were spending more money on things because they couldn't go to the movies or they couldn't go on vacation. So Pokemon saw this huge boom. It was absolutely crazy. And all of a sudden you had all these influencers and all these different people kind of entering the hobby, and we saw this giant price hike, and Pokemon couldn't keep up with demand. Supply was running low all over the place, and we had sales going absolutely nuts. And this all happened during the Sword and Shield block, right? We went from Sword and Shield base, which was pretty normal, Rebel Clash still pretty normal, Darkness Ablaze with that Charizard VMAX is really when things started going crazy, and then you hit Champion's Path, and things were absolutely losing their minds all the way up until, we'll say, Evolving Skies-ish, when things started really slowing down. We hit Celebrations, which kind of brought things back up a little bit, and then kind of died back down when people realized, hey, there's plenty of stock available. A lot of scalpers left the market, left the scene to focus on other things because they weren't making the money that they were making. There was a lot of storefronts that kind of came into the game that had to close up shop, and we'll talk about that at some point in a video in the near future. But it's not good right now for a lot of hobby stores, a lot of LGSs, a lot of people who are trying to make this business work. And we're going to look at the market today, and we pay a lot of attention to numbers, and numbers are fine. It's fine to look over numbers. It's fine to look at costs. It's fine to look at sales. But I want to look more and focus more on the quantity of sales. When we talk about recession, and is Pokemon kind of a part of that recession, or is it immune? We're going to look at some numbers that it's like, holy mind-boggling. Holy buckets, this stuff is just not moving nearly as fast as what it once was. And I think part of that is because people just aren't spending the way that they used to be spending. People are going out and doing more things outside, but not necessarily spending on those discretionary items, those things that aren't, tangible, that they need to survive. So we're going to kind of flip you guys around here so you can see what I'm talking about. What I did is I went and looked at every main series release from the Sword and Shield block. So we've got all the main set releases, and then we've got just focusing on booster boxes, and then we've got the champion product from all of the holiday sets, like the Champion's Path ETB, the Celebrations ETB, the Shining Fates ETB, and even the Pokemon Go ETB, which recently came out. And we're going to look at quantity of sales. We're going to start out with the Sword and Shield base set. Now this is this one and the Rebel Clash did not really get reprints at all. We didn't see reprints when it comes to booster boxes, so you'd expect to see these kind of trickling up in price, and they're really not. We're looking at the past 3 months of data on TCG Player, and you can see Sword and Shield base had a high price of $229 back in April of 2022, and that wasn't good enough because it wasn't selling, and it went all the way down to $218.65, which isn't that big of a drop. You know, it's not even 10%, but you're only looking at 5 sales. Right now, the market price for it is $225.12, so it's gone up a little bit back to where it's closer to that $229 mark, which is its 3-month high, but you're only looking at this number right here, 5 sales over the past week. A week's worth of data on TCG Player. TCG Player being a site that does have quite a bit of trading card sales, and I would say probably fairly close to what you would see on eBay or Amazon, and you're only looking at 5 booster boxes that have sold of the Sword and Shield base set. That's not much. And when you look at Rebel Clash, the one after it, a little bit cheaper, you're looking at $190.14 in April. That's its 3-month high. It dropped down and hit a low point at $180.82 in June. Now it's creeped back up a little bit. The market price is really only impacted by sales, and when you're only looking at 10 sales over the past week, 10 booster boxes that have sold over the past week, I shouldn't say 10 sales because some of these might be multiple booster boxes for one transaction, that is not moving very fast. And we're going to go through all of these in the Sword and Shield set to see which one is moving the most, and even if that is moving quickly, we're looking at Darkness Ablaze next, which came out in like August of 2020-ish. You're looking at a high point of $139.15, and the set got reprinted for a third time at the end of 2021, where there was a decent chunk that kind of hit the market. It was enough to make a significant impact where you were right around that $150, $160 price for a booster box of Darkness Ablaze, and it brought it down to somewhere around that $100, $110 mark. You're looking at $139.15 was its high point, which it hit around April of 2022. Then it dropped down a little bit, went up a little bit, and now it dropped all the way back down to $130.82. Its low point is $130.47, so it's lost about $9 over the past few months, and this is what we're talking about as far as recession, or we're talking about taking steps backwards. These sealed products are not going up. Instead, they're going down or maintaining flat, and it's not even just the price points that they're at, it's the quantity of sales. So over the past week, only 34 Darkness Ablaze booster boxes have sold for less than MSRP. You're looking at an MSRP of a booster box of $143, $144, and you're sitting at $130.82 right now is the current market price, and that's what these boxes are listed at, and they're just not moving. Only 34 over the past week, so you're looking at what, 4 to 5 a day at the most. The next one we want to look at is Champion's Path. This one is actually a little bit different than all these other sets because this one did get reprinted a couple times, but it hasn't been reprinted for quite some time, and a lot of these boxes, a lot of this stock got bought up fairly early on when we saw this giant boom, and a lot of them got cracked open because of the Charizard that's inside. A lot of those got sent over to grading, which is a whole different animal all to begin with. You're looking at $115.34 was its high point in April of 2022. It dropped all the way down to $91.29, which is a significant drop. You're looking at about 20% it lost over the span of 2 months. It's gained a little bit of that back, sitting at $103 right now. But if you're looking at sales again, only about 4 ETBs that have moved per day. During its high point, when there was a lot of stock that was available and it was selling for, let's say, $60, $70, $75 a pop, these were selling probably close to 100 a day, and you're looking at only about 4 that are moving on a daily basis right now. So I think a lot of people are really watching their spending habits when it comes to some of these more expensive items that are priced higher than MSRP, even if it's an out-of-print item like a Champion's Path ETB, because the sales just aren't there. Then we've got a Vivid Voltage booster box, which people were clamoring for a reprint on Vivid Voltage, not just the ETB, but the booster box as well, because this is when we really started finding out that Pokemon had a problem when it comes to supply. There was a lot of booster boxes that were short printed, just couldn't get enough to feed into the demand, and with the talks of the Amazing Rares where people didn't know what they should expect as far as pull rates go, and then you had the rare Charizard in there, and then you also had the Rainbow Rare Pikachu. There was a lot of people who were really interested in buying this set, so there was not enough that was available, and people were kind of freaking out. Now you're looking at a point where this was reprinted again for like the 6th time at the end of 2021, and it's really just been fairly flat now for the last 7-8 months, which is absolutely insane. But again, it's not just the cost, it's the amount that is moving. You're looking at only 22 that have sold over the past week, so just over 3 per day on TCG Player. A popular site like TCG Player just not seeing the sales on a daily basis. 138.07 was its high point at the end of April in 2022, dropped all the way down to 117.84 in May, so that's about a $21 dip, which is fairly substantial considering the price point. Now it's sitting at 131.19, which is still about $13 less than MSRP and just not moving. You're looking at 22 over the past week. Then we've got Shining Fates, which is a whole other animal because it's been reprinted a million times, which has really hurt the price point. As you can see, 51 cents 477 is its high point over the past 3 months. It was actually starting to gain a little steam prior to this last reprint, which was absolutely massive, to the point where it was selling for close to that $70 mark, and then dropped down to well below MSRP. You can see it sold for $39.90 at the beginning of June. Now it's creeped back up a little bit, but still under MSRP at $47.19 for Shining Fates, and readily available to purchase, less than MSRP, but still not moving. There's only 24 that have sold over the past week on TCG Player. That's just over 3 per day, just not moving very quick. Then we've got Battle Styles, which came out, and this is a really cheap booster box with the opportunity to pull that Tyranitar, with the opportunity to pull that Empoleon, a box that's still in format. It's going to remain in standard format for competitive play at least through January of 2023. 17. Only 17 booster boxes have sold over the past week, with a high point of the market price being $50 less than MSRP. You're looking at $92.96 was its high point, and that was in end of May 2022. It hit $86.30 at one point before it creeped back up to that $92 mark. Now it's sitting at $91.28. Only 17 have sold, so barely over 2 booster boxes of Battle Styles per day, just not moving. Then Chilling Reign. There's been a lot of talk about Chilling Reign being this huge thing that people really should start getting investing in, because it's moving, moving up in the right direction. And it is moving up. It's at $103.20 as its high point, and this is the first time Chilling Reign has really had a market price over $100 since basically release for this item, because it was so overproduced and so printed, readily available for people. You can see its low point, $88.42, which it hit at the beginning of June. Now here we are in July. It's back up to $100.91, very close to that 3-month high. But still, you're only looking at 53 boxes that have sold over the past week. And if you break that down, that's just over 7 per day, barely over a case that's moving on TCG Player. When you figure out how many people are visiting that website on a daily basis, they're just not buying it. Instead, they're not paying $40 under MSRP. Instead, they're moving and they're buying the booster box that's above MSRP for now. And that's Evolving Skies. 410 that have moved over the past week. So people are very, very careful with their spending habits right now. They really want to make sure they're buying sets that they enjoy. And Evolving Skies is proving itself to be by far the favorite of the Sword and Shield block. Very reminiscent of Hidden Fates. And now as we get this reprint coming out, where we're just finally starting to get allocation numbers, and we're finding out that it's barely bigger than the reprint of Brilliant Stars, but a lot of excess inventory that seems to be making itself available that maybe distribution was holding on to. It's really starting to impact the price and bring it down. You can see it's down to $149.14 as a market price, even though the reprint hasn't fully come yet, and that's way cheaper than where it was 3 months ago when it was sitting at $186.94. You're looking at about a $40 drop, which is very big, about 20% over the past 3 months that it has fallen. 410 have moved, so you're looking at closer to 60 booster boxes per day. This is what you would expect during kind of like the boom of Pokemon. So this is starting to move a little bit more frequently. This is what we're kind of more used to when it comes to Pokemon sales as a trading card store. But other than that, just not moving that fast. Next up, I don't even know what Celebrations. My picture is just hidden. So we've got the Celebrations Elite Trainer box. At one point was at $77.53. Now Pokemon did announce that they're not reprinting this item. They said that back in February. We'll see if that's true or not, but you can see this item really starting to spike up in price. I'm just going to leave this right over here so you can see $69.48 was its low point, which it hit in the beginning of May 2022. It has gone up, seen a lot of ups and downs, a lot of dips and a lot of valleys and peaks here. It was up to $77.53 at the beginning of June in 2022, then dropped back down, went back up, dropped back down, and now it's went back up to $76.41. But you're only looking at 41 that have sold over the past week, which is not a substantial amount at all. You're looking at 6 per day. Not even quite 6 per day, less than a case per day that's moving on TCG Player, with all those visitors, all that traffic, all those storefronts just not moving nearly as fast as what you would expect it to move. And we've got Fusion Strike, again, a very cheap booster box selling right now for $95.41. At one point, it hit $98.70 a couple weeks ago. Its low point was $89.40, which it hit at the beginning of June in 2022. Only 79 that have sold a day at a booster box that's close to $50 under MSRP, which is absolutely insane. You're only looking at about 7 to 8 sales, or you're looking at about 10 to 11 sales per day of Fusion Strike. Then we've got Brilliant Stars, which is said by many to be the second most favorite set for the Sword and Shield block. You're looking at $148.41 as its high point, which it hit about 3 months ago, not too long after the set released. It did drop down to $129.08, as you can see at the end of June in 2022. It's gone back up a little bit, where it's sitting at $138.67. Pokemon printed a lot of these at initial release, and then had very, very small reprints after that, which haven't done enough to impact the market. And there's still people kind of chasing that alternate art Charizard, that Rainbow Rare Charizard, some of the cool trainer gallery cards in there. But still, still 122, not a small amount over the past week, but not a huge amount either. There was one point not too long after release where there was over 1,000 of these moving on a weekly basis, and you're only looking at 122 now over the past 7 days. We got a few more that I want to look at quick. Astral Radiance is the most recent set. We have this one to kind of hold us over until Lost Origin, just not moving nearly as fast as what it once was. 129.53 was its high point, which it hit kind of around the time of pre-orders. Before release, it dropped all the way down to 96.66 a couple weeks ago. Now it's back up to 103.63. I expect this number to go down a little bit more, right around that $95 mark, which is why that's why we're selling them for on our website, as Wave 2 has really started hitting stores, really bringing that price point down because the demand isn't necessarily there, even though there are some cards in there that are still doing really well, like that Starmie, like that Garchomp, like that Machamp alternate art. Those cards are still doing really well, but the booster box, people are just not as excited for it, and that's why you're only looking at about 299 sales per week rather than the 1,000 that you would expect moving per week, like what we saw with Brilliant Stars. Then we've got the Pokemon Go Elite Trainer box. This set just released, literally just released. So you would expect over 1,000 of these to move on a website like TCG Player in the span of a week. Instead, you're only looking at 60 cases, a quantity of 600. At one point, this was selling for $79. A lot of people thinking well into the future, oh, I need to pre-order this. I'm going to pay more because it's going to be very, very popular. And look where it is right now, sitting at $47.07 under MSRP for a brand new specialty set, ETB, which just came out. This is something that we haven't seen in years because we had Champion's Path, we had Shining Fates, we had Celebrations, all selling at market prices well above MSRP, and here we are a couple weeks after the release of Pokemon Go under MSRP for a market price, 600 that have moved. People just not as excited, not spending as much money when it comes to Pokemon cards. Maybe they're shifting their buying habits more to singles, but not nearly as much on sealed product. And then we've got Lost Origin, which I want to talk about because they do have pre-orders up on the Pokemon Center website. Even though it doesn't come out for a couple months, a lot of storefronts are taking pre-orders for several reasons. But you're looking at a high point of 118.07 when pre-orders really just started, and a low point of, that's not right, but 118.07 is where it is currently, which is going to be its low point right now. So basically kind of just staying still right around, you can see the graph here, 118 to 119. People came in with pre-order prices on TCG Player right around that 120 mark. I believe you can find it on TCG Player for under that right now, right around that 115 mark. But only 56 that have moved over the past week, which you wouldn't expect a lot of these to move because it is a set that doesn't come out for a couple months yet, and we don't have all the information. This set, the Japanese variant of it, which the name escapes me right now, but I believe it releases on Friday. So we should start getting secret rares, alternate art leaks like that throughout the week this week, and we'll get a better feel for what's going to be in the set outside of the trainer gallery, which I think a lot of people are focused on because we're still waiting to see what happens with that Leon Charizard and that Pikachu Gigantamax, those great cards from the trainer gallery, which haven't been released yet in English, to see if they're going to pop up in Lost Origin, or maybe it's going to be the last Sword and Shield set whenever that comes out. So I kind of wanted to go over this to look at the quantities of sales to see and show you guys that things are really starting to slow down. And if you start looking at the singles market and you start seeing cards, when you start searching for Pokemon and you see a lot of standard format cards as the best-selling cards instead of all that vintage stuff, that's really a sign that things are moving into a completely different direction. And I think things are actually getting worse than what they were pre-pandemic right now with everybody's spending habits. So leave a comment down below, leave a like on the video if you enjoy this kind of discussion. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Really appreciate it. It goes a long way for the algorithm. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Share the video with a friend. I think it's always fun just to kind of talk about the market, see where things are going, but most importantly, kind of get a feel for where everybody is as far as their interest level goes with Pokemon. I think a lot of people kind of were burnt out with it, and maybe they're kind of sitting things out until Lost Origin comes out, waiting to see how things go with that, because things just start moving. Watching their spending habits, people making sure they're making smart decisions with their buys, which is obviously something that's important, something that you want to do, which is why we go over all of this market data. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate you. Until next time, we'll talk soon. Peace.